and they have space heaters, and they...
Technology is
Right,
different.
exactly. And so...
So your dad was in construction.
But he would go down the basement in the wintertime, and he had a lathe and all kinds of woodworking tools. And his father was a cabinet maker in Denmark, and so he'd make furniture and this and that. And I used to sit on the steps going down to the basement and really wanted to get my hands in there, you know, when he'd put a piece of wood on this lathe and he'd take the chisel and go like this, and you see the design forming.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do that so bad. He was afraid I'd cut my hand off or
That's
something.
dangerous, yeah.
I know.
It
And
can
he
be.
would never let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I remember years ago, Debbie and her husband bought me a set of wood carving tools because I used to carve in soap, things like that.
Really?
Yeah. But I just never got around to getting into that. There's no time. Time runs out.
What does Debbie do now?
Debbie?
Yeah.
Debbie's designer for commercial buildings, interior designer, hospitals, libraries.
What kinds of things does she design? Like their lobby, you know?
Anything. I mean, a hospital, she has to figure out all the equipment that's needed in the space, where it goes, what kind of lighting it needs, everything, no matter what. You go in a hospital with her and she'll say, that's not the right kind of chair there, or not the right
Really?
kind of waiting bench, or I mean, anything. She critiques it all, and she knows.
Where does she live? Yeah,
She
I mean,
lives-
in general.
She lives east of the 101 and south of Cactus.
In Scottsdale. Hmm. I think she's a neat person. We've had nights with her. She's a nice person. You've done a good job, you know, with both of your girls.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm very proud of.
I think that's something to be proud of.
Yes. Well, a lot of people try and it doesn't work, you know, it doesn't always work. But fortunately, it worked for us.
It did. You know, there's a book that Nancy and I are reading called Codependency No More. And it's about taking responsibility for other people as opposed to taking responsibility for yourself. And there are so many people that try to take responsibility for other people that they shouldn't be,
No,
you know?
no, you can't. But
I'm gonna steal one more of these.
have all you want. You know, it always used to bother me if I talked to people and they would act like maybe they were upset with me or something, you know. Never stopping to realize, I read it, and also Debbie had mentioned it to me once. She said, you know, when you're talking to someone and you don't like their reaction, you don't know if they've had a bad day, a bad night, not sleeping well, or they have someone sick at home, or whatever, and it has nothing to do with you. So you cannot really fault people if they don't act like they like you or don't approve of what you're doing or whatever, because you don't know the story behind it. And maybe the next day they'll be just as nice as can be.
I agree with you there.
Uh-huh.
That's a fascinating.
I think that
insight.
happens to all of us, you know. We
Mhm.
take things at face value a lot of times, but there's more to it behind.
Okay, I'm gonna change the subject to a bit to your grandchildren. How do you feel about them?
I love them dearly.
Elaborate a little bit more.
Well, I'm very proud proud how they both developed. Kelly was the first one, and she went through, I would say, a trying childhood when her mother and father got divorced, and then Cherry remarried, and she remarried again, and I think for a child that's very traumatizing. But she's turned out to be a lovely, beautiful young lady.
Boy, I think she is. I mean,
Right, and to start out in her own business at home and do what she's doing and still value all the family values like she does, I think we're all very proud.
oh, I think she's great. I
Right,
think she's just
right.
plain A+. Okay, who else?
And Patrick?
Yeah. Tell me a little
Patrick
bit about
went
Patrick.
through the same trauma of having his mother and dad divorced, and he loved them both.
Hey, in the For
dearly.
Whatever It's Worth department, Nancy, the camera lady, and I have both been through ours. You're really the exception.
What?
We've been through our
Oh,
divorce.
yeah, I guess I am.
Mhm.
That's what happens when you're antique. Anyhow, I am proud of Patrick because he came a little later, and the drug deal and all that was going pretty strong by that time. And never a problem. He has ambition, he's very family oriented.
Is he?
Oh yes.
Who does he
very
belong
caring.
to? Does he belong
He
to
belongs
Debbie
to
or
Debbie.
does he belong to Cherry?
He belongs to Debbie,
Mhm.
Kelly belongs to Cherry. And then we have little Max, Kelly and Joe's little boy,
And, oh, Max belongs to Kelly
and Joe.
and Joe.
And Patrick, he probably has a twinkle in his eye back there someplace, but I don't know when it'll develop.
Does he have a girlfriend?
Oh, yes.
What's her name?
Her name is Gus, and we all love Gus very much. She's a very thoughtful, kind person, and she kind of fits a family
Well,
very well.
why does she keep saying no?
I don't know if she's been asked.
I'm kidding.
Have no idea.
Nancy, jump in anytime.
She's busy thinking back there, trying to make sure
I'm
she does things
absorbing, absorbing. Okay, shall we end this thing?
Okay.
Gerda, tell your family how you feel about them.
right. I love everyone to the best of my ability.
From the bottom of your little heart,
Yes.
your big heart.
To the very bottom, to the very top.
Nancy, end
And I
with a
couldn't think
picture
more
of
of
JD on the
any of
floor.
them.
End with a picture of
You
JD
bet.
on the floor.
Okay, and here is Gerda's better half these days. Her sleeping partner. God
Yes.
bless them both.